You say that the international community has a vital responsibility to prevent an escalation of the conflict, as the consequence of an interstate war in the Middle East will be completely unpredictable. You say that the world could be on the brink of a third world war. Premier Orban said this about the situation in Ukraine. Who do you think has the most responsibility for this situation? If Hungary could give grades to major powers' behavior, would the US have a passing grade or fail? And Russia and China? And what about the European Union?
Well, there are around 30 countries in the world which have been witnessing fights, wars, armed conflicts on their own territories. 30, almost. So it's like 1/7. 1/6 of the countries worldwide. It's a huge number and a huge proportion. So that's why we have the concern that in case international community is not going to be able to overcome these conflicts, is not going to be able to resolve some of these conflicts, then they can add on top of each other. And in this case, the risk of a launching of a third world war might be much closer than currently it appears to. And this is something that we have to avoid. Now, when it comes to the war in Ukraine, we all know who attacked whom. We all know who is the attacker. That's why we condemn this war. But in the meantime, we do believe that there's a responsibility for peace as well. And we all know that the United States should enter into dialogue with Russia in order to secure peace in Ukraine. As the United States is being involved in the peacemaking efforts or the resolution efforts, let's put it this way, in the Middle East, the United States should be included into the peace efforts regarding Ukraine as well. And I agree with those who say that in case the Americans and the Russians could sit around the same table and discuss the possible chance or a chance of a possible peace in Ukraine, that could help a lot. That could help a lot. When it comes to European Union, you know, I do believe that with delivering weapons, you cannot make peace. Because with delivering weapons, you can just prolong a war. And the more a war is being prolonged, the more people will die, the more destruction will take place, and there will be a less chance for peace. So I do not agree, and I'm in a minority in this regard in Europe, but I do not agree with those politicians who say that the developments on the battlefield will help the peace to come. I don't believe in that. I do believe that the longer we let developments happen on the battleground, the further we have the hope of peace. So with every day spent with war, the possibility or the chance of peace is decreasing, because the more people die, the more destruction takes place, the more hatred will come. And the more hatred, there are less chance for peace.
Prime Minister Orban just said that the Ukraine is light years away from being invited into the European Union. Why does Hungary, a NATO member, have such a different opinion on Ukraine than most of the other allied countries? Is there something that Budapest knows that the US and Europe is not telling to the public?
Look, first of all, we do believe that that it would be absurd to be pushed to make a real evaluation about how Ukraine has been performing regarding the rule of law, regarding the judiciary, regarding political rights while there are no elections, regarding freedom of speech while having censorship during war. So it's impossible to make a judgment about such kind of issues, how they progress in a country at war. This is the first. Second, that the European Union should export peace and should not import war. And we have the fear that the inclusion of Ukraine into European Union would also mean inclusion of the war, and we don't want that. And on top of this, there's a very important issue for us Hungarians. There's a big Hungarian community, 150,000, living in Ukraine. And the rights of this community have been under enormous attack for the last 8 years. And the rights of this Hungarian ethnic community have been violated tremendously by Ukraine in the recent years. And even since the candidate status has given to Ukraine, these rights were further violated. And, respect towards national minority rights are among the most important rules of the European Union. So while a country is performing so badly on that, I think should not expect a unanimous decision to be made in favor of them in the European Union.
Prime Minister Orban said also, just recently, that Hungary must say not to the current European model built in Brussels, as adding that Hungary needs to stay in the European Union, but the EU has to be changed. My question is, how would you do that? What's the model? And if you can't change the EU, would Budapest leave it? Is this why you're already having the Hungarian people participate in a referendum about Europe?
No, of course, we would never leave European Union. We are part of European Union. We will stay as a member state of the European Union. We want European Union to be strong. We want European Union to be much stronger than currently. We see many developments which are weakening the European Union. For example, we don't want European Union to be a United States of Europe. We don't want European Union to be a federalistic superstate. We want European Union to be a strong integration of strong member states. Now, what does strong member states mean? Member states sticking to their heritage, to their culture, to their history, to their national specificities. If these national specificities are being killed, then the member states are weakened. And if the member states are weaker, the whole integration will be weaker. So we want a strong European Union, but we have to understand that EU can only be strong in case the member states themselves are strong.
About the status of Hungary relations with Italy, and what do you think of the agreement that Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama have recently signed on the migrant issues? Also because in Europe there are other countries that think it is a bad idea.
First of all, I'd like to tell you that we respect a lot Madam Meloni. We respect a lot the Italian government. We respect the decision of the Italian people. So we are happy to work together with this Italian administration. I personally respect a lot my colleague, Minister Tajani, and Minister Salvini as well. Regarding migration, we have our own approach and our own position. Our own position is that only those people should be allowed to come to Europe who have the right to come to Europe. And all countries must be able to make their own sovereign decisions, whom they would let come in, whom not, and whom they would live together and with whom not. And it cannot be a decision made in Brussels, in New York, in Washington, in wherever. All countries must be able to protect themselves, to make it very sure that whoever is at the external border of the European Union, to protect it, and to make sure that only those people come in who have a legal right to come in. So we do believe illegal migration is a crime. Violating the border of a country is a crime. It's not a human rights issue, it's a crime. It has its own rules how you can cross a border of a country. It has its own rules how you can enter territory of a country. And if you break these laws, if you violate these rules, you commit a crime. And we have to be very open and very honest about that. It has nothing to do with human rights.